the New Jersey Devils keep the 12th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, and they select Swedish center Alexander Command. I know a lot of Devils fans are going to be not thrilled that the Devils kept the pick. A lot of comments already. Tom Fitzgerald 2.0 with Sunny Metha. Um, there were opportunities to trade the pick, and he didn't do it. And instead, they take Alexander Command out of the SHL or Barrow Hockey Club. My working theory is, look, all of these huge name players, we're not talking about just these small time players, huge name players that have been in the rumor mill. Jason Robertson. Now we have Zach Werenski, Kirill Marchenko, Dylan Larkin. All of these huge name players in the rumor mill have not moved yet. So the fact of the matter is that we got plenty of summer left here, right? And that's not to say that, the Devils have the wherewithal to sit there and be patient. Um, but, it does tell me that there are perhaps going to be trades that happen later in the summer that don't involve these top picks in the current draft. Now, we know that, Sonny Meta weaponized himself with future draft capital, similarly to what Bill Zito did when he traded for Brady Tkachuk. Except, the fact that Bill Zito used his 2026 first round pick to get Tkachuk. That option's not available now, but we'll see. We'll see if Sonny Meta can make something happen. Not this is not a bad pick. This is a good pick at pick number 12. This is a good player. Did you want to see somebody more immediate for more immediate help? Sure. But let's put a pin in that for a second and recognize that these huge name players who are or were available, or not were, they are these huge name players who are available. I mean, it's being reported that Jason Robertson is now being shopped. It's not like it's possible maybe he figures it out with Dallas and goes back, but they're shopping him. Right. Kirill Marchenko has reportedly told the Columbus Blue Jackets, hey, I'm not going to sign here. Things have picked up with Zach Werenski. Dylan Larkin wants to be traded. So there are big names out there still. Let's just spitball here. This is something I thought of on our last stream, or before going into last stream. I said to myself, these Zach Werenski rumors have started to percolate. What happens here with Zach Werenski? Well, there's also been reports that the Minnesota Wild and Quinn Hughes have not been able to make any progress. And I shouldn't say it like that, right? Maybe it's just that they haven't gotten down to the nitty gritty yet because he's been taken care of, and that meaning Bill Guerin, some other things for the Wild, but they haven't gotten into the nitty gritty of a contract extension. Yeah, sure, the owner said that we're gonna get him nailed down to a 3 to 5 year contract. That's the owner being, maybe a bit overzealous. Things need, pen needs to meet paper for that to happen. That hasn't happened yet. So let's just say we get to the summer and, perhaps there is some sort of deal to be worked out here. Maybe, there is a 10% chance, in my mind, for me, that Quinn Hughes saw what Brady and Matt just did and, really does say, why wait? Maybe I do want to go play with my brothers in New Jersey. That would mean that Bill Guerin has a decision to make. Well, here's another Team USA defenseman who is, by the way, the reigning Vezina Trophy winner in Zach Werenski. Perhaps, the Devils can work out a 3-team deal where Werenski goes to the Wild and Quinn goes to New Jersey, and whatever the package is that Columbus needs to agree to this deal, which now we know is, perhaps not going to be as much as they would like because of the fact that, we know that he's not going to sign, meaning Werenski is not going to sign in Columbus. Perhaps, they get a haul, yeah, but is it going to take as much as, what it would have taken if he wasn't available? Certainly not. So, you maybe you want to see something bold like that with Sonny Meta, and hope that he can turn this summer into one that instills hope in the fan base, and makes everyone believe that the Devils can move forward into the 2026-27 season as a contender. Is this summer over? No, it is not, right? Again, none of the marquee players that we were looking at and speculating that they could move have moved, right? I should mention Matthew Nyes in there as well. He's another player who a lot of folks had speculated, could the Devils or could he just be traded in general? And yes, the Devils were one of those teams that many people speculated about because you go back to the deadline, again, two different regimes with Toronto and New Jersey, but it seemed like, oh, maybe a Nemitz for Nyes swap is an obvious thing here. Ultimately, Nemitz goes to Calgary. The Devils get the draft compensation, and it seems like it's going to take a lot for someone to pry Nyes out of Toronto. So we will see, guys. We'll see how this summer develops. Like, look, we're not going to go into the we're not going to go into free agency and see any marquee players there too. It's just not going to happen, right? The top free agent in Alex Tuck is now no longer available. Lots of uncertainty as far as how the Devils are going to, um, you know, add that top six forward. Um, I still think they do somehow. If not a top six forward, perhaps they do make a switch in the goaltending department. That's another thing that came across my desk tonight was that the Devils were and probably still are sniffing around the Connor Hellebuck situation. Do they get that done? We'll see. It's not that Sunny Metha has not made these calls. It's not that he hasn't fielded these calls. He certainly is. But he said we want to make smart, calculated decisions. And in terms of models, his models are showing that the moves he's made thus far are more valuable than maybe splurging right now on one of these big guys. Maybe the prices need to come down a little bit. They certainly are exuberant. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing happen right now. I mean, for Mason McTavish to go for 2 first-round picks in the middle and end of the current draft, I understand that he's probably a safer bet than someone you're going to draft. He's already at least an NHLer, but he's got a pretty big contract for an unproven player. Um, Albeit a player who many question his skating, his speed, and if he can keep pace. And look, if he can, and he turns out to be a great player for the Blues, excellent. But the questions certainly are there. Do you want to spend 2 first-round picks on a Mason McTavish? That's a good pass by the Devils. That's a certainly good pass by the Devils. So ultimately, Alexander Command is a New Jersey Devils. Yes, is it disappointing that the Devils did not make a trade with 12th overall? A little bit. A little bit. Is this Tom Fitzgerald 2.0? I'd pump the brakes. We got a lot of time here, guys. We have a lot of time before the 2026-27 season begins.